Welcome to the show, folks. It's Ask the Experts here on Talk Radio 1190. We interview local prominent professionals here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex on what? Their area of expertise, of course. I'm the host of the show, Matt Cather, and joining me on today's show is Natalie Hall of the Underwood Law Office. Real quick, before we get to Natalie, you can find them online at underwoodlawoffice.com. That's underwoodlawoffice.com. The phone number is 972-535-6377, 972-535-6377. Of course, their office is located in McKinney, Texas. Natalie, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you. I know we did this a while ago, and it's good to hear your voice again, and we're excited to have you on Ask the Experts today.
Great.
Natalie, I always like to start things off and kind of, we've had Mark on plenty of times. We've talked to you all before, but I still, I always say this, if the listeners missed out on the show, well, that's their mistake, and that's unfortunate, but if they're listening right now, kind of just give us a little overview. Tell us a little bit about what Underwood Law Office is all about.
We have a variety of claim types that we take. We primarily do a lot of personal injury and mass class action cases, and of course, Social Security disability, which is what we're going to talk about today. These are things that we've done for a very long time, we're very good at, and we enjoy doing them.
Yeah, and like you referenced, we're going, today's topic of conversation is going to be evolved around Social Security disability benefits. So let's kind of get things started. If somebody's looking to get that and apply for, I guess you could say, why do they need an attorney to get Social Security disability benefits?
That's a great question. I actually get that question quite a bit, believe it or not, when I meet with clients.
Yeah.
An attorney or a non-attorney representative, which is what I am, is very beneficial because the Social Security disability process is a very complex process. It can be very confusing, repetitive, and very frustrating for someone who is disabled, someone who is already dealing with the financial fallbacks of not being able to work. And it really does help ease the stress of going through the disability process when you have someone that you trust to do all of the work for you. And it's kind of just one less thing that you have to worry about while you're going through this very difficult time in your life.
What would you look for in an ideal candidate when meeting with them or meeting with someone for the disability benefits, Natalie?
That's good, too. There's a few things that we actually look at when we're meeting with someone to determine if this is a disability claim that we know we can help them with. One of the first things we look for is the age. And everyone says, why would you look for their age? Well, we usually look at your age because if you're 50 or older, it's a lot harder to return to work once you become disabled or even to be trained for any other type of job that would equal the type of pay that you're making before. Another thing that we look at is your work history. Is it strong or is it intermittent? And the reason this is important is because strong work histories are one of the things that disability adjudicators and administrative law judges really, really look into. I'll give you a perfect example. If you have been working your entire life, you say, I've been working since I was 16 years old, and, I've worked my whole life. One of the things that Social Security does, though, is they only go back 10 to 15 years from the date of your disability. That's the work history they look at. They don't look at anything else that you've done for the past even 30, 40 years. So if it's a very strong work history, you've worked right up until the day you became disabled, or even a few months or years before that, they take a lot of that into consideration. If you have an intermittent work history or if you were self-employed, a lot of more factors into that. But that's one of the things that we also look at, too, when we decide if we can help you get this benefit. Another thing that we look at is what's wrong with you. What's your disability? Is it physical? Is it mental? All of these things, these kind of top three things that we look at factor in to determine on whether we can help you secure this benefit or not. Those are the things that we look for in an ideal candidate.
And we'll kind of build off that a little bit, Natalie. If how does someone essentially qualify for those disability benefits?
One way that you can tell one way that you can find out if you're eligible for disability benefits is to go to Social Security's website and create an account. You can go to their website, which is www.ssa.gov.gov, and you can just create an account, and that will tell you if you are eligible for benefits based on your work history. It'll tell you what your early retirement benefits are, what your full retirement benefits are, because that's not something that we have access to when you come to meet with us. We can't just get on their website, plug in a Social Security number, and pull everything up about you. Social Security doesn't allow that. So you create an account and you say, okay, I've been working for the past 10 or 15 years. Am I going to be eligible? There are two types of disability benefits that you can qualify for. One is based solely on your work history, and the other one, which is called SSDI, or Social Security Disability Insurance. And the other one is called Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, which is like a federal welfare payment. So if you don't have a strong work history, that might be something that you would be eligible for as well.
We're talking with Natalie Hall of the Underwood Law Office today on That's the Answer. It's great to have her on. Of course, 972-535-6377 is the number you can reach her at. That's 972-535-6377. UnderwoodLawOffice.com is the website. That's UnderwoodLawOffice.com. Now, Natalie, I really like this question, and I'm sure you get this often. If someone can't work but their spouse is still working, will that keep them from being able to apply for disability benefits? How does that situation play out?
Absolutely not. There are factors that could hinder you getting a benefit that way, but most of the time, if you are applying for a benefit based on your work history, it doesn't matter how much your spouse works or how much they make. That's not going to affect your ability to apply for disability benefits based on your work history. Now, there are some factors that can, kind of hinge upon that. But one of them is if you were a stay-at-home spouse. If you stayed at home and took care of the kids or quit your job because your spouse made enough money to support the family, and you became disabled and the medical bills are overwhelming, so you said, I'm going to apply for Social Security disability and help us out. That could be a problem if you haven't worked in the past 10 or 15 years prior to your date of disability. Then you would only be eligible for the SSI portion, which is a federal welfare payment. And that is based not only on being disabled, but your household income. So then your spouse's income very well could affect your ability to get a disability with Social Security. But if it's a disability that's based on solely your work history, then absolutely you can apply. And when we apply, we always apply for both just to see if you would be eligible for either or.
And, I'm sure this is the main goal right here when the people are, picking your brain, asking you some questions. I'm sure their main concern is, well, what are my chances of getting approved for disability?
This is the mother lode of all questions.
Yeah,
this is the question I get. I get 1,000 times a week at least. And this is what people want to know. This is what I would want to know. If I became disabled, I would say, look, what are my chances? Am I wasting my time? Am I wasting your time? This is a great question. And again, it doesn't have a simple yes or no answer. Your chances of getting approved for disability benefits are really good when you come to us. Because if we accept your claim, if we look at everything that we look at in your intake packet, your age, your work history, what's wrong with you, and we say, sign here, we can help you, there's a very strong chance that we're going to get that benefit for you. It's never 100% guaranteed. We don't make promises we can't keep. But if we accept your claim, that means we've done this before, maybe 1,000 times before, and we're pretty confident that you're going to get this benefit. Now, there are so many factors that factor into that. But if we accept your claim, we have a pretty good idea that we can get the evidence needed to push your claim through the system and get you a benefit. Now, if we look at your claim and we say, gosh, we don't think we can win this. That doesn't mean you're not disabled. It just means that we don't think that we're going to be able to help you get this benefit. So when somebody says to me, Natalie, what are my chances of getting this? Am I going to get this? Is it going to be, am I wasting my time? I don't really have a definitive answer for that other than, look, I've reviewed your claim based on what you've told me, based on your age, your work history, what you've got going on. I think I can help you. I wouldn't tell you that if I didn't think I could. We wouldn't tell you that if we didn't think we could. So that question is a $1 million question. And I pretty much tell them that even if I became disabled as of today's date, I would have to do exactly what they're doing. There's no magic number for me to call in and say, hey, I'm a disability representative and I can't work anymore. There's no fast track for me. I would have to do exactly what they would have to do. And even I would ask that to the Social Security representative that would be helping me. I would say, what are my chances? It's a great question. Again, there's no definitive response, but as an attorney's office with, even as a non-attorney representative, you take in all the evidence and you say, I think I can really help this person. And that should give you some confidence to know that we've been doing this for a long, long time. And if we take your claim, there's a very, very good chance that you're going to get this benefit.
We're talking with Natalie Hall of Underwood Law Office. We got to take a quick break here on Ask the Experts. So when we come back, we still got a lot of information we need to cover with her. So I just want to take a quick break. We'll be right back on the other side of things. Folks, stay around. We'll be right back here on Ask the Experts on Talk Radio 1190. Well, back to the show. It is Ask the Experts here on Talk Radio 1190, 10 to 12 every Saturday morning. You don't want to miss out. You definitely don't want to miss this. We're talking with Natalie Hall of Underwood Law Office. Great to have her back on the show. Real quick before we get to Natalie, back to Natalie. And, of course, topic conversation today is Social Security disability benefits. So a very important one, 972-535-6377. It's 972-535-6377 is the number you can reach him at. And, of course, the website is underwoodlawoffice.com, underwoodlawoffice.com. They're personal injury attorneys, and their office is located in McKinney, Texas. Now, Natalie, I know we've been talking, like I said, mentioned to the folks, it's Social Security disability benefits. Now, if somebody was, if they go see a doctor, they get into a certain situation and they're put out of work for about 6 months, can they get temporary disability benefits through Social Security even though they plan to return to work? I'm sure that comes up often.
It does. Let me educate you. Social Security does not have temporary disability benefits, unfortunately. It's not like workers' comp or short-term disability where you can get the treatment that you need and go back to work. Social Security is a permanent disability. And so once they've deemed you disabled, you're disabled until full retirement age, which is like 67. There are exceptions to that. And let me explain what those exceptions are. There's 2 exceptions. For example, if you've been diagnosed with cancer and it's expected to end in your death, which is something nobody wants to hear, but it happens. Social Security has what's called a fast track program called a compassion allowance benefit, which means that if you are diagnosed with a condition such as cancer or tumor that's expected to end in your death within 6 to 12 months, they will fast track your benefit through a compassion allowance program, which means they will start paying you and your family the benefit basically up until your death, or 6 to 12 months, whichever comes first. And then after 6 to 12 months, depending on what you qualify for, what type of cancer you have, so on and so forth, the compassion allowance will stop, and it will then kick over to just a regular disability claim. You cannot get a compassion allowance for financial needs. So, for example, if the worst of the worst is happening and you're getting evicted, or you're getting foreclosed on, or your power's getting shut off, or your water's getting turned off, or your car is getting repossessed. The Compassion Allowance Fast Track program does not allow you to be fast tracked through the system just because of a financial hardship. There are a couple of small programs for financial hardships, but they're very, very difficult to get into. And even if we try and apply for them for you, there's no guarantee that Social Security will even look at them. But a Compassion Allowance Fast Track is just basically if you've been diagnosed with something such as cancer or a brain tumor that's expected to end in your death, they will go ahead and pay you and your family the benefit while you transition for that time period. But other than that, there is no temporary benefit. So if you're off work and you're planning on going back to work, Social Security disability benefits probably isn't a quick fix for you at all.
Now, if they're going through this process, does it tend to take long? How does that work? Is it a long process or to get disability benefits?
It is. And this is the most frustrating part of not only being a disability claimant, but being a disability representative, because it can take up to 12 to 24 months to get this benefit. And I'll give you a perfect example. I have a client now who has kind of lived off their savings for a couple of years, and the savings is kind of dwindling down. And they said, "Oh, I think I'll go ahead and apply for disability. I've got about 6 months of savings left. It should be great." And, they come to the realization that it's not going to be 6 months. It's going to be 12 months, maybe even longer. And they say, "Well, I'm going to run out of money in 6 months." And it kind of puts them between a rock and a hard spot. And they're like, "Well, if I'd known this, I would have applied a year and a half ago." Well, I got you. That's par for the course when it comes to this. But no, Social Security disability is not a quick fix. We tell people that the best thing that they should do is to apply for disability as soon as they know they're not going back to work. As soon as they realize that they're not going to be able to return to their job, or any job for that matter, it's time to apply for disability. It doesn't matter if you have savings, it doesn't matter if you have short-term, long-term disability benefits coming in, workers' comp payments. You need to apply for disability as soon as you realize that you're not going to be able to return to work, because this process is long and complex, and it is not a quick fix for someone who is used to living paycheck to paycheck, or that's not getting any income coming in at all right now. They're relying on some family to help them out, or a friend or something. Please, please, please apply for disability as soon as you find out that you're not going to be able to return to your job, because this process can take 12 to 24 months. And it would take 12 to 24 months for me, knowing what I know, knowing who I know.
Yeah.
So it's just a wicked process. But we're here to get you through it. We'll do it. That's what we do.
It's just, unfortunately it takes a little bit, but that's why you guys are there to at least help them and get them on the right track and make it as easy as possible, I guess you could say.
Absolutely. When you're sick and you're hurting and you just don't feel good and things just are piling up, this is just one less thing you would have to worry about. Let us take care of it for you. And wait till you see how much it eases the burden. And when the benefit finally does come in, I've had people call me crying, "Thank you so much. You've saved us," and everything. They're so grateful. It is a tedious process, but trust the process. It's going to come out in your favor. Trust us. We'll get you there.
Of course, we're talking with Natalie Hall of Underwood Law Office. Great to have her on the show. UnderwoodLawOffice.com is the website. That's UnderwoodLawOffice.com. Their office is located in McKinney, Texas. Their phone number is 972-535-6377. That's 972-535-6377. Now, Natalie, one thing I wanted to cover, we got a couple minutes left on the show. If somebody's applied for disability benefits and they received a letter from Social Security and it's saying that they need to send them one of their doctors, or sending them to a doctor for exam, do they have to go? What should they say to that doctor?
Okay, so Social Security does this during the initial application stage or the reconsideration stage. Basically, if there's not enough medical evidence in your file for them to make a decision based on what you've got going on, they will send you to one of their doctors for a one-time medical examination. Now, these doctors just do a report based on your functional limitation, what's wrong with you, what type of treatment you've received, how you've responded to that treatment, and what functional limitations you would still have with that treatment. And they write a report and they give it to Social Security, and that's it. You'll never see that doctor again. That report goes into the file, and the adjudicator uses that report to make a decision on your claim. You would tell that doctor the exact same thing you would tell your own doctor. These are the things that you can and cannot do because of what you've got going on. You would tell that doctor how long you could sit, how long you could stand, things you can't do around your home anymore. You can't mop, you can't vacuum. You would tell that doctor the exact same thing that you would tell your doctor for him to put that in his report. Now, these reports from these doctors usually don't make or break a disability case, but it does help that you have someone that's writing down your limitations, because if it does go to the hearing level with an administrative law judge, that is one of the things an administrative law judge will pick up, look at, and say, okay, this doctor says they can't do that. Their doctor says they can't do that. And then he makes a decision based on this. So it's definitely not something that we like to, have you do, but absolutely go. If they make an appointment, absolutely go. Keep the appointment. And again, treat that appointment just like you're going to be treating with a new doctor.
Unfortunately, we're short on time, Natalie, but to wrap things up, if there's a big conclusion we need to come to, the main point that you really wanted to get to the listeners, what should their takeaway be from this show?
I think your takeaway should be this. If you are disabled and you know that you can't return to work, give us a call. Let us help you. Let us get you through the disability process without all of the stress that goes along with it. We're here for you. We're going to help you. This is a long, complex process, but it's something that we do all the time. And you need this. You need this help. You need this. This is such a crazy, crazy system that Social Security has. And we enjoy it. This is what we like to do. This is what we do. And please, when you do this process, always apply for disability when you know you're not going to be able to return to work. It's going to keep you from having such a financial burden in the future when it comes to things like that. That's one of the things I just want to take away. I want you to take away from this is to go ahead and know I actually cannot go back to work. I know this. Apply. Even if you don't have us do it, apply. And if you become, if you get denied, come and see us, but absolutely apply.
And
I can't stress this enough.
Yeah, and I want to, comment, folks, remember this is an ever-evolving process. I'm sure there's things that are always changing in this type of situation. So that's why you got to reach out to the folks over there at Underwood Law Office, because they know what's going on. They're always up to date with the information, and it'll make your life much easier throughout the process, I'm sure. One more time, 972-535-6377. It's 972-535-6377. That's a phone number you can reach him at. Of course, you can find him online at underwoodlawoffice.com. That's underwoodlawoffice.com. Natalie, it was a pleasure having you on Ask the Experts today. Great to have you back, and hopefully you can do it here very soon again. How about that?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure talking to you guys. This has been another edition of Ask the Experts here on Talk Radio 1190. We're out of here, but I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. We'll do it again with you here very soon. Enjoy your weekend, DFW.